We start with Mike Denbrock, LSU offensive coordinator, who was at the microphone yesterday and held a press conference. And I'll tell you, I'll be very upfront. It was about 12 minutes of sound, and I don't know that it was earth-shattering sound. As I was listening to the press conference, I was thinking to myself, this guy should be a head coach. Like, he's really good at saying very little. And that's what he said most of the time, and that's kind of what you think. But Denbrock's never been a head coach. He's always been coordinator and position coach, and now he's running the offense over at LSU. But there were a couple of points that I want to hit on and get his thoughts on and then react to them. And the first was exactly what I asked Jeremy yesterday. Is there a chance they play two quarterbacks? And that question was asked to him. He and Brian Kelly have worked together for a lot of years, so this answer is he and Brian Kelly working together, and whether or not two quarterbacks is a possibility next year.
I think ideally anybody would tell you if there's one clear winner, that's what you need to be doing. And, but we've had situations over the years while we've been together where we've had to play more than one guy in certain situations. So I know he's going to do and make the decision that he feels like is best for the football team, whether that's 1, 2, 4, 6, whatever. I'm sure we won't have that many. But, I think it's important that those guys understand that this competition is probably going to spill over into the fall, as we all kind of suspect it probably will. And they're all going to be given opportunity to win the job, and it's important for them to step up and seize that opportunity.
Not surprising at all to hear him say this is going to spill into the fall. That means stick around, you got your chance in the fall. Stick around, you got your chance in the fall. Stick around, you got your chance in the fall. That's part one. And part two is they're not afraid to send a couple of guys out there. Your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's coach talk. I think ideally, like you said, you want a guy to earn the job and be the leader of the team, and you have one quarterback that the team kind of trusts and believes in to go out there and get the job done. Would I be shocked if there's a two-quarterback system? No, because of Daniel's ability to use his legs. So I'm sure there's a lot of stuff in the playbook you probably have to scrap with Miles at the quarterback position, or Garrett Nussmeier. I think he has probably the middle. He's not as fast as Daniels, but not as slow as Brennan, but I think definitely it's a great coach talk. Like I said, do your best job to keep these guys around, keep these guys in the program. Not kind of give the lead to anyone and give anyone any grand ideas after spring football. So they're handling it the right way, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it just says, keep your head down and keep playing. It's not the most interesting soundbite I've ever heard, but I do think that the door open for a two-quarterback spot, not saying, no, we've got to have a guy. I mean, he could have said that. Could have come out and said, no, we want somebody to win this job. We're challenging those guys to come out and win. He didn't say that. He said, we need two guys. We may send two guys out there. And I just think that soundbite furthers the point that we've all assumed that, hey, we're going to play this thing out. We're going to give a lot of guys a lot of reps throughout this spring football. And when we break it, we'll have an idea. We'll go back to the drawing board. We'll look at some things, and we'll reevaluate through the summer and then into fall camp. Question is the quarterback room look the same in fall camp as it does right now? That's something that we can't answer right now. The other part of moving pieces and where things are going to shake out is the offensive line. And Mike Denbrock was asked about playing. I mean, every time the media goes out to practice, there's somebody at a different spot on the offensive line where they weren't the day before. The one that Brian Kelly obviously alluded to the strongest was Will Campbell moving to left tackle. But everybody else is kind of moving along on every spot at the offensive line. And Mike Denbrock addressed that musical chair game yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could possibly be a thought. I think in the bigger picture, because of what the program has dealt with over the course of the last couple years with, players not being available for whatever reason, whether that was, something that was going on with the player in particular, whether that was an injury, whether that was whatever it was, I think it's important, at least this time of year, for those guys to get as much exposure to as many positions as they possibly can and to be cross-trained, quite frankly, to provide depth across the entire front. And whatever that happens to be, whether that's 7 guys at the end of the day, 8 guys, 9 guys, maybe 10 guys, good Lord willing, that can play, multiple positions, we will eventually, probably not by the end of the spring, but over the course of the summer and headed into fall camp, settle those guys into a little bit more of a home, if you will, and not move them around quite so much. But in the evaluation process, it's really priceless for us to see those guys in a lot of different ways.
this is what Brad Davis did not get last year. You didn't get a basically a free run for 3 weeks to just throw anything at the wall possible. And that's what he's getting right now. He had to get ready to put a line out there to get ready to play a game against UCLA immediately. And you had to just kind of look and then go. And I don't know anything about putting together an offensive line, but I understand that there's a ton of benefit in getting more information. They're getting all of it this spring, and that's a refreshing thing to me.
Yeah, last year was a tough blow because last minute you lose Dare Rosenthal to the transfer portal. So now you're scrambling with the offensive line. Now a guy that you pencil in as a starter. Now you got to move some stuff around. And those guys really never really got the continuity I think that you would want to have going into a football season when you want to win a lot of games. And so last year they're kind of behind the 8 ball, especially early on in the season. You saw how much they struggled to get the run game going. You saw how much they struggled in pass protection. Now you're kind of seeing them, especially if Will Campbell can kind of be that anchor at the left tackle position. Now it gives you puts you in a position, like Coach Denbrock said, to have multiple guys, probably 6 or 7, maybe 8 guys that can rotate between those 4 spots, and you find the best 4, and you pair that with a up and coming freshman, and now you feel like your offensive line can be a lot better than what you saw last season. So it's a good problem to have for this football team.
I use this example every single year because it's the one that I know the best because I was covering the team day to day, and that was all I did all day was kind of look through stats and lineups and highlights and interviews and all that kind of stuff. The 2011 offensive line was excellent. That team was limited throwing the ball. Of course, Ruben was really good out there, but they wanted to run it. And that offensive line from left to right was Chris Falk at left tackle, Will Blackwell at left guard, P.J. Lonergan at center, Josh Williford at right guard, and Alex Hurst at right tackle. And throughout the course of that season, all 5 starters ended up missing some time. And they really didn't miss a beat. You plugged in Greg Shaw at a tackle if Hurst or Falk went down, and T-Bob went in at the swing spot if anybody in the inside went down. And they just kept plugging wrong. But the point of that story is to say you're very rarely going to go through a season with the offensive line that is set in stone and plays every game. Sometimes it happens, but more often than not it doesn't. You've got to develop some depth, and you've got to see who can play what position. And they just didn't have time to do that last year. They may not have had the talent. It may have been a lost cause, but at least they've got a chance to evaluate this thing fully this year and play one guy at left tackle for 3 periods one day and then throw him in at right guard the next day and see how that works. They can roll 3 guys in there at center and see who's playing the best. That's just not something you can do on August 23rd when you're trying to put in your red zone package for UCLA. You just can't do it.
Yeah, no, it's too last minute. You should normally have all that stuff, and that's the purpose of spring football. I know a lot of people don't get too hyped up on it but for a lot of teams, it can answer a lot of questions, and you can really get some continuity, and you can really give some guys confidence, especially when guys are playing multiple positions on the offensive line, and they have a really good day at this one particular position. That gives you a whole world of confidence going into the next practice, going into the next week. Like, okay, man, I'm really getting this thing at right guard. I can really play. And then now you kind of get guys get solidified in their roles, and that's something that you're so far away from right now. But it's a great opportunity for Coach Davis, great opportunity for Coach Denbrock, and really get this offensive line back going the way you have, because you have so many weapons in the running back room. You got a ton of weapons on the outside. If you can start blocking up and giving these guys an opportunity to make plays, this team can make some noise on offense.
Last clip I wanted to go to with Mike Denbrock is talking about, they said, look, you're talking about moving all these guys around, talking about fundamentals and teaching guys to play hard in practice. How much of the offense have you actually put into this point?
I would, if I put a percentage on it, I'd say we're maybe 30% installed. I put a moratorium on installation, which I have since broken 2 or 3 times, just because of situational football that we're running. But a week ago today, we made altogether way too many mistakes as an offensive unit. So I put the brakes on installing new things and just have really talked to the players more about how hard they're playing, how hard they're competing, how hard they're, giving what they've got to give to the offensive unit and to their teammates in particular. So that's been a lot more of the rally cry than throwing in a few more plays or some more fancy scheme stuff. It's been more about teaching them how to play hard and what the expectations and what it's supposed to look like when we flip the film on as an offensive unit and start to kind of look at who we are and what we are. I think
30%. What does that number sound like to you? Sound about right? It seems high to me at this point.
No, that's not high at all. I think they want to get as much in as they can. They want to put as much load as they can without becoming too overwhelming, because that's what it's going to be during the season. You're going to have to do stuff on the fly. You're going to have to adapt, and those are the best team who can make the adjustments. So this is all adjustments for them. They're going in, putting in as much as they can, and I think it's good for the players because everyone's really starting with a fresh slate. So it's good that they're kind of putting that pressure on them. Thanks so much for watching Hunt and Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. We'll see you next time.